So I'm going to ask a weird question. What do you think would have happened to your relationship if you got married?
It would have been an unmitigated disaster.
Yeah, I don't see it lasting, to be honest.
Before I met Rachel, I actually was engaged once. It was actually an abusive relationship.
I don't think any amount of desperation of wanting to be married and wanting to be able to go on dates and tell people that I was dating would have ever overcome me knowing how much space and time he needed. I remember saying to him, either you're not the right guy for me or you're not the right guy for me now.
Like there was a certain point where just like I'd hit an emotional brick wall that I just like I couldn't get past it.
Yeah.
I have nothing wrong with, oh, you went through a trauma, like that's fine, but not to tell somebody after a significant amount of time. It's not recommended. When I was in Stern, I had 5 friends get divorced in like 4 months.
Ooh.
It put me on alert, like not to say, oh, I'm expecting that for myself, but it really made me think twice about things.
Yeah.
When you're dating somebody for 4 months, that's serious. Like, oh, this is on the derech for something to happen. And then all of a sudden it's just gone.
How are you recovering from that? Hi, so great to see you again at Stories of Hope, Israel Edition. Today it was so fun to meet Rachel and Izzy Schwartz, a couple I met a year and a half ago through Instagram and never thought I'd come face to face to hear their beautiful, raw story in depth. So sit back, relax, and get ready for another special episode, curated and imported, special from the Holy Land for you. Of course, before we start, thank God the sun is shining, the snow is melting. Do you have your backyard party equipment, the umbrellas, the grill, the couches, the drinks, the fancy mugs that make everything a lot more exciting? Guess what? It's a one-stop shop at PZ Deals. They'll let you know where you can find the best products for the best prices. You can turn on push notifications. You can get discounts for Uber Eats so that if you are making the party and don't want to pick up the food for the party, they got you in all departments. So download the PZ Deals app because with PZ Deals, you'll never pay full price again. Hi, I'm Tzipora Grodko, and this is the Stories of Hope podcast. Rachel and Izzy, welcome to our Israel studio. This is really fun because I think you're one of the first Stories of Hope posts that I had done, like in the beginning batches. I think it was when I was only on to 30, and you were so like generous with your, I don't know, heart. And you said, oh, sure, you could share my story. And now like we met in person.
Yeah.
And this was a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. And Izzy, welcome to the party.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thanks for coming. Nice to have you here. So Rachel, we'll start with you. Take us back to the beginning, where you're from, what your dating experience was like, and then Izzy will go to you.
Okay. So I'm originally from Kew Garden Hills, born and bred, lived there my entire life. I went to like YCQ, I went to Central, went to seminary for a year and a half, and then went to Stern. So a very like typical flow that everyone went to. And then I went to Columbia to get my master's in social work afterwards and stayed at home the whole time. Didn't really move to where the single scenes were. I was like, okay, I want to move to Israel. So I am going to save money, but like, that's my plan. So like, I didn't really want to put roots anywhere else. Like I was very goal oriented. And dating kind of was not, I guess we could say, the easiest. It took me a while when I came back from seminary to first even be ready to go on a date at all. Like I went on Olive, went on a bet. I remember coming back and my friends were all starting to date. I even had a friend get engaged like my first semester in Stern, got married by the end of the semester. And I was like, whoa, what's going on? I'm 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, I'm just not there yet. Figuring out my life, what my direction's going to be. And so I kind of waited. And I remember my rabbi came from seminary to Stern for Shabbos and he had meetings. He's like, over the Shabbos, like I want to meet with everybody. And me and my friend sat down with him and he's like, I don't understand. Like, why are you not ready to date? And I was like, well, I'm doing this with classes. I don't have time, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, so what's the difference? Just stick something else in. So I was like, okay, you know what? You're right. Let me try that. And so I like told my friends, I was like, okay, I'm ready to date now. Fast forward a year, I still hadn't been set up. So I was like, okay, this is fun. Nothing's happening. And
sarcasm noted.
Yeah. I was like, this is not what I pictured. You know, when you grow up in, like, I grew up in a more modern Orthodox community, but still people were getting married young. It didn't seem like it was difficult for people to get set up on dates. So I was kind of wondering like, what's different with me? That it's been a year and nobody's saying anything. Finally, a friend of mine is getting married and she's like, oh, my future husband has a friend that he thinks he wants to set you up with. I said, okay. And I said, I really didn't ask for details. I'm like, I trust you. I'm like, great. We go on a date. It was probably one of the most horrible experiences I had. It was just very awkward, clumsy, whatever. And after the fact, I remember saying to my friend, why did you guys set us up? And the answer was, because he's really nice. That was it. There was nothing about, oh, because you guys have these same interests, you guys both even want to make Aliyah. Which that was the answer. It's like, okay, maybe I should be a little bit more particular going forward. And basically from that point till I was set up with Izzy, the first time we dated, I was basically getting set up once a year. And it was either a one and done or 2 dates and we were done kind of situation. And it's a little bit disheartening. You're seeing everyone else around you.
A little bit.
Yeah.
It's really disheartening.
Yeah. You're seeing everybody around you. Like, again, I'm in the Stern bubble. I'm seeing all my friends starting to get engaged with their dating seriously. And I'm not having any success, not only in not being set up, but also when I am being set up, it's really not a good experience. And so I just kind of continued. And yeah, then we fast forward to 2017 when I first met Izzy.
I'm not letting you fast forward yet, girl. I have a question for you.
Sure.
What did that do to your self-confidence being set up once a year? And then even when you did it, you felt like it was a dud?
It's definitely a little bit of a sucker punch because you're given this false picture of, oh, you live in the frum world. This is what dating is going to be. And then it doesn't happen. And then like I went to Colombia and I was one of a handful of frum people. 2 of them actually got married like right when we started and right during the time. So like, great. But like I was the only single person. And like all these non-Jews were like, but you're Jewish. Why aren't you married yet? And you're getting it from the outside and it's more of like an inquisitive topic, but it's like, okay, it's just not happening. And like, honestly, the only thing that really kept me going was I had a rabbi, the like Rosh Midrasha in my seminary. For some reason, it like just kept coming back to me. He said, girls, everything is bismano. And so I would literally like, that would be my mantra of, okay, bismano, it's going to happen when it's going to happen. And things were difficult. Like I'm the firstborn grandchild in my family. I'm the first everything. And like stuff wasn't happening for me, but like I had cousins dating. My sister is 5 years younger than me. So like, I was like, okay, what happens? Like it was really, really nerve-wracking. And I was like, what am I going to do? But like, okay, bismano. And that's kind of what like I let myself push along and I was able to focus on my education and getting myself to where I wanted to be professionally because that's what I had. So at least I was able to do that. But yeah.
Yeah. And like there's so many people that could relate to that feeling, just like they're not getting a suggestion. And I think it's harder because you see other people around you talking about dating, going out on dates. It's the central focus of conversation. And what do you do when maybe nobody even knows that you haven't gone on a date in 2 years, in 3 years, in 6 months? And it could really take a punch to your self-image and self-worth. And the two are not connected. Like you said, God's in charge.
Yep.
But it's really tough.
It is very tough.
And we actually haven't covered that experience of dating yet. So I'm really glad that you brought it up. I'm sorry that you had to go through it, but I'm glad that you're here to share about it so that someone who's going through it doesn't feel so alone. So thank you, Rachel. We'll take a pause here. Izzy, where are you from? And tell us a little bit about yourself and your dating experience.
That's a loaded question.
Let's start with where you're from.
I grew up in Connecticut. My family is not from one of the big Jewish communities. They were from a town called Trumbull, which had a traditional shul, we'll call it. It's one of these shuls where there was a period of time where I think it was largely like rabbis from Chaim Berlin would go to dying conservative shuls. They'd get hired as the rabbis and they'd basically start trying to slowly bring the shuls more towards Frumkeit.
Cool.
And so one of those rabbis. My dad grew up in Bridgeport, Connecticut, which is right next to Trumbull, and his rabbi from camp ended up being one of these rabbis in Trumbull. So when he and my mom were married and looking for a place to really settle down, this was when that Rabbi Wallen, was, becoming part of that shul, and a bunch of people came to join him. And these are these kinds of experiments where, if it works out, then suddenly you'll have like a booming community. I don't know if it's like the same kind of thing, but there are places like down in Maryland in Silver Spring, which used to, back in the day, like not have much of a community. And now it's huge because, people went in and brought, existing communities, closer to Frumkite, and then just it grew from there. It didn't end up working out where my parents grew up, but by then they were kind of rooted in place. So, we were traditional growing up. We did Shabbos, Yom Tovim, kept kosher, but like I didn't really care so much about Shabbos. I'd watch TV, I'd go out. I would never go shopping or do any things that, there were all these things that I always pictured as, oh, these are the big no-nos. But, I would just do my own thing. I'd go to shul because I had to, but I went to public school naturally. Because the only options my parents had were, there was a school a couple of towns over, which really was kind of schwach.
Yeah.
And my parents didn't like the quality of either the Jewish or the secular education there. Or there were schools basically in New York, which would have been much more expensive, and I'd have to travel multiple hours each way to get to and from.
It doesn't sound like it would make any sense.
Yeah. So they sent me to public school, but I went to, an after-school Hebrew school, and they always reinforced Jewish identity with me and my sisters. Didn't really start clicking for me until just we, telling the story out of order, actually, they booted the rabbi and decided to go fully conservative. And my parents didn't want to be part of a conservative shul, so they found a small, old Orthodox shul a town over that I think they had standing memberships from my grandparents' time. I think. Don't quote me on that.
And we won't quote you.
But we started going there, and that shul was dying, so they rented out the building to a yeshiva. And at that point, I was in high school. I didn't really care so much about. Like, I just went to shul because my dad needed me to help with the minyan.
Yeah.
So as soon as number 11 came in, I just go out into like the kiddush room or somewhere else and just do my own thing. And one Shabbos, one of the bachurim comes in, just walks up to me and says, "You want to learn some Torah?" And I'm like, "I've got nothing better to do." That ended up becoming my first chavrusa. We learned for a number of years until he moved to Israel, actually. But by that point, things just started clicking and coming together. I started caring a little more and more. Like, one week I'd decide, what, maybe I shouldn't be on Facebook on Shabbos. So I'd stop being on Facebook, but then I just start playing, games on the computer. So, okay, maybe I shouldn't play the games on the computer, but that just moved me down to, the basement to watch TV. Maybe I shouldn't do that. So until it just became a point of really learning more and more what I should be doing rather than just realizing things I shouldn't. So that kind of got everything clicking. Like, my parents put all the pieces into place. I actually found out a long time afterwards that they had been working with the rabbi of the shul to find me someone to learn with because they wanted me to, but I showed them because I accidentally found one first.
Well, you never know what one question, one like genuine interest to just try to connect with a person can do.
And all because just one of the bachurim just...
Do you know his name?
His name is Ariel Vyshinsky.
Shout out to you, Ariel.
Yeah, if you're watching, can you find us? Because Izzy needs to thank you.
Oh, wow. He doesn't even know that this is where you are today?
I have actually, it's my fault. I have not reached out to him in a while. Bad at keeping in touch.
Well, Ariel, come find them. Their email address will be in the show notes below.
Yes.
So so tell us like what happens, you're religious, and what's beginning of your dating career looking like?
So, by the time I went to college, I was basically fully Shomer Shabbos, Shomer everything. I went through college, graduated. I dated here and there, but it was frankly pretty casual because I was still working on that part of of my development. But after college, my rabbi from college moved to Queens. I started visiting him for Shabbosim and got to know the community. So I ended up moving there eventually. Funny enough, on the same block as her.
We were 10 houses apart.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I more or less, I wasn't really in the shidduch world. I was much more of a, I guess I'd say I was a renegade, which also landed me in trouble a lot because I just would make poor decisions a lot of the time. I dated here and there. Before I met Rachel, I actually was engaged once. I met this girl on a Shabbaton. We started talking. We started going out. It wasn't really the best situation. It was actually an abusive relationship. And then when the engagement fell apart, there was naturally a lot of pieces I needed to pick up, a lot of damage I needed to recover from. And about 6 months after that was when we were set up. But I definitely wasn't ready yet.
Yeah. That's a really scary position to be in. How did you do that work of picking yourself up from being in an abusive relationship?
First of all, I separated myself from dating entirely for a while because I knew I'd come out of a traumatic relationship. And they're just I needed time. I needed time to recover, needed to focus on myself, needed to focus on just other aspects of my life and just let myself recover from the trauma.
And then, so his rabbi lived 2 houses down from my parents, and he and my dad.
Yeah, so all of us lived on the same block.
Yeah.
It was a very, very small.
God's I'm playing chess.
Yeah.
I'm going to put this piece over here.
Exactly.
That piece over there.
Yeah. So
And let the games begin, right?
my dad became friends with the new neighbors, the rabbi, because they had small kids. So my dad loves playing with little kids, and they just formed a connection. And it's unclear to the two of us who initiated the conversation of either if my dad said, I have a single daughter, I have a student who I really want to set up, whatever the case was. I remember I was driving my sister. I drove my sister into the city on a Motzei Shabbos. She went to a bachelorette party for a friend of hers. And I'm driving home, and all of a sudden this random number pops up. Hi, this is Izzy. I wanted to know when you would be available to talk. And I was so confused. I remember walking into the house and I said to my parents, my dad, I think specifically, I said, did you give my number to somebody? And he goes, oh yeah, I gave it to the rabbi. And I was like, oh, thanks for telling me. He's like, oh, but it was a week ago. I was like, oh, but thanks for telling me. I just got this message now. Neither here nor there. We ended up going out. And then at that date, we also found out that we lived 10 houses apart. So we were like, oh, okay, this is a little bit easier. And this was in 2017. So we went out for 4 months. It took some time for me to find out about what he had been through.
In my defense, I didn't know how to bring it up. It was my first time actually dating at all after the situation. And I fully, I knew I was going to have to. I just didn't know how or when I'd feel safe or vulnerable enough bringing it up. But it ended up not mattering because one of our mutual friends ended up just casually bringing it up to her when they were talking.
So we have a friend who's married living here, actually. We were both at the wedding. It was an out-of-town wedding. Izzy's actually in the background of one of my pictures with a friend of mine.
Very bizarre.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So he knows the husband. I know the wife. I saw the wife. And she just in passing mentioned, about the broken engagement. And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So we kind of had to deal with that. That was not I have nothing wrong with, you went through a trauma. That's fine, but not to tell somebody after a significant amount of time. It was definitely something we had to work through, working on our communication skills.
Or what?
Yeah. And in the end, it's we dated for another 2 months at that point. And number one, I was very dead set. I was making Aliyah. That was not changing. Izzy was like, when we first started going out was, yeah, I want to make Aliyah. Then it turned into not right away. And then it turned into, I don't know when that will be. And so the wishy-washiness of the Aliyah was not necessarily my cup of tea. And on top of that, it became very clear to me he had a lot to work through still. And I'm a social worker. And there's one thing that I say it to this day that we're married now, I don't want to be your therapist. I don't want to be that person. Like, I'm here to be your partner. And I will, stuff that we have to work through together. But like, when you have a trauma like that, you actually really need help. And that's not for your partner to handle. Like, that's not healthy for your relationship. I remember like the night we ended things, or I ended things, I think we walked around.
We took a break.
Yeah.
It was mutual.
As he likes to say it that way. I think like we walked around the block, like over an hour, just talking about everything. And I remember saying to him, either you're not the right guy for me or you're not the right guy for me now. And
I don't think anyone expects it to be the latter when somebody says that.
Yeah. But like, I really meant it. Like I also, number one, this was the longest I'd ever gone out with anybody. So I knew that there was something significant there. I knew there was a connection, but I also knew just like, I knew what my goals were and I know what he needed to work on. They weren't working at that moment. And I needed to focus on me and he definitely needed to focus on him. So
it was clear that I just was not feeling, comfortable enough to actually open myself up to someone. Like, there was a certain point where just like I'd hit an emotional brick wall that I just like, there was like, I couldn't get past it.
Yeah. We'll be right back to our episode. But first, I want to welcome you to join me in the mitzvah of give a little tzedakah. That's right. Giving tzedakah has never been easier with the Kol Chabad Tzedakah Pushka app. I give tzedakah before my episodes in the hopes that it hits you in the right space. And if you're looking for an extra merit, within seconds, you have it. So download the free Kol Chabad Tzedakah Pushka app so that you can join me in this mitzvah. So download the free Kol Chabad Tzedakah Pushka app today. Yeah. And it's interesting because I think a lot of people mistakenly go in relationships thinking, but I want you to be my therapist, right? Or like, I want you to be my savior. And it's one of the worst ways to ambush a relationship.
Yeah.
It's definitely not. It's not recommended.
We don't need therapy. We have each other.
Yeah, no. It's definitely not recommended. And now, like all these years looking back, I'm very proud of myself that I was able to recognize that because I deeply cared for him back then. I won't say, we were in love back then, but I knew how much I cared for him. And part of caring for him was, I am not this person.
Yeah.
You need somebody else to do this. And like, Nira Emashe Yikra, like that would be. And that was it.
So I'm going to ask a weird question because I think that it's remarkable that the two of you were able to notice and then pause. There's a lot of relationships where people have unresolved challenges and they expedite in the hopes that let them just get married and maybe she won't find out or he won't share. And it's very unhealthy. What do you think would have happened if the two of you ended up getting married while you were in this space of not being able to connect because of your emotional unresolved challenges? What do you think would have happened to your relationship if you got married?
We would not have lasted.
It would have been an unmitigated disaster.
Yeah, I don't see it lasting, to be honest. And I don't think any amount of desperation of wanting to be married and wanting to be able to go on dates and tell people that I was dating would have ever overcome me knowing how much space and time he needed. Like that was so overpoweringly known to me that I couldn't put myself in that situation. I wouldn't have I couldn't have allowed it to happen. And I know.
I mean, we both at that point in our lives just had so much that each of us needed to like grow and work on that there's no way we would have been compatible back then.
Yeah. And like, I mean, we definitely wouldn't be here right now. We wouldn't be in Israel. Like it
might
would
have been.
Yeah. But like, it also would not have been a happy marriage because again, the communication wasn't there. And so, yeah, like I'm very happy that I was able to recognize his needs. And I think now that I look back on, I think this is the first time I'm actually thinking of this, like that shows like our true partnership of understanding what one another needed. And like back then, it just was not the time, like to be able to give each other that space and understand that. Cause like you said, like people rush into things. And I can say like when I was in Stern, I had a tkufa. I had 5 friends get divorced in like 4 months.
Ooh.
And it was like, it put me on alert, like not to say, oh, I'm expecting that for myself, but it really made me think twice about things.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was in the back of my head when all of this was happening, but it definitely made me just, take a step back and wary.
Yeah. And I want to share 2 things. The first is that sometimes people can think that time and space is threatening. Like, we can't do that because then time will pass. And what? Don't we know that with time, things marinate, things can get better? And secondly, is that time and space is only valuable if you do something during that time and use that space.
Yep.
So I think that the fact that the 2 of you are sitting here really reflects to other people who are in relationships. If they've taken that break, but then when they revisit, they say, well, are you different than the person I met last time? Because if you're not, then this is just a game.
Yeah.
And
100%.
I mean, I was just fully expecting to just never see each other again. Like that was going to be it, Zehu.
Yeah.
And then just,
so what happened on your end during this break, this takufa, where you hear from
I joke
someone?
I joke when I say it was a break. Because I mean, I like to mess with her that way. But as far as she's concerned, she broke up with me. As far as I'm concerned, we took a break.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
I eventually, I did start working on myself, actually taking steps that I needed to get into a space where I could consider dating again. And I started dating again.
What do those steps look like?
I started going to therapy and actually, doing my homework that I would have, that I would have to, specific things I'd have to take note of for myself and just confront. Because, when you deal with any kind of trauma, really, it's you may know where it's coming from, but you definitely don't know everything about your own trauma. And, some things will surprise you that you just never even thought of. And so confronting parts of your trauma that you didn't even think of definitely goes a long way. And so a lot of the time was spent doing that.
And what would you tell someone, a man who's listening, who has trauma and he hasn't confronted it yet? And he thinks he doesn't want to, or it'll just go away, and he's single or he's in a struggling relationship. As someone that's been there, what might you tell him?
I say this not in a harsh way. Look at yourself. You may, even no matter how well you think you're handling it, you may be handling it great, but you might need more time. You might need more work. You might need a little more of both. If you're having trouble, that is, that is a sign that you may not be there yet, but that's okay. Because if you're not there yet, then that means that the worst thing that could happen would be to, try to force it. So let it happen. Take more time if you need. Do more work if you need. Don't try to force it if it's not working.
Thankful.
Yeah, it happens every now and then.
Thank you. So you're doing your work and you had finally met someone and 6 months later broke up with them. How are you recovering from that?
It was not easy, I can tell you. I think also I had just been at the point that I was finally telling friends that, oh, I'm seeing somebody. Because, in the frum world, when you're dating somebody for 4 months, that's serious. That's oh, this is on the derech for something to happen. And then all of a sudden it's just gone. I wasn't getting a message in the morning anymore of, oh, hi, good morning, Rachel. And it's these things that you're feeling are missing. And I was like, okay, great. I need to just throw myself back into it. And actually right away, a friend of mine tries to set me up. And back then I used to suffer from, I had something with my muscles in my neck and I would lose my voice for a week. And it's I could not talk. And my friend says, okay, I want to set you up with this guy. And I was like, so I'm in the middle of a not being able to talk stretch. Can he just wait the few days and whatever? And she's like, yeah, no problem. Guy ghosted me completely.
Aww.
Disappeared. Not only ghosted me, ghosted my friend and her husband. Stopped responding. And I was like, okay, great. This was not the way I wanted things to go right after being in a relationship for the first time. But okay, fine. And I'm trying. And I even spoke to the Rebbetzin of my shul. And she basically said to me, she goes, honestly, Rachel, you want to make Aliyah, so you just should make Aliyah because there's no one left here that wants to live in Israel. I was like, okay. So it's like beginning of.
What does that mean? There's no one left here.
Yeah, that was literally what she told me. And
They're all in Israel.
yeah, like it was basically like who you're supposed to marry is not here in New York or in America.
Oh, meaning if you want to make Aliyah, the person that wants to live there is already living there.
No one's left no one's left living there
Aliyah.
who hasn't made
Got
Aliyah
it.
yet.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay. That's nice to hear. That's like, we're in beginning of 2018 now. And basically like, I just kind of like set myself a goal. I was like, okay, I want to get my LCSW and then I'm going to Israel. That's it. Like, that's my goal for myself. It's an accomplishment that I want to, get to. And
yeah, by the way, girl, Colombia. Fancy schmancy.
She doesn't advertise that so much these days.
Definitely not today in today's day. But whatever, I was like, okay, I'm just putting myself on this trajectory. Told my parents at the beginning of 2019, I'm making Aliyah. Like I put the application in Nefesh B'Nefesh. It was difficult for my parents, but at the same point, like that was the way they raised me and my sister. So they weren't surprised. It was just like, oh, it's actually happening. And then basically end of August 2019, I make Aliyah. From the time Izzy and I broke up till like maybe a month or two of living here, I was not set up once. Not a single date, nothing.
How long was that?
Over 2 years.
Over 2 years. You weren't set up.
I wasn't set up at all. And I just kept having it in my mind that the Rebbetzin said, make Aliyah, because then you'll have people who want to live in Israel and you'll be set up. Okay, fine. I made Aliyah, fresh meat for people to try to set people up, and went on a few dates, not so successfully. And then March of 2020 hits and we get hit with the pandemic and life kind of stops. I was supposed to go to America for my oldest friend's wedding, and I'm a healthcare worker here. I work in a hospital, and healthcare workers were not allowed to fly. So I had this planned trip, gone. Totally cut off from my family in America. I have cousins here that are like third cousins that adopted me, and they're fantastic and I love them. But it's not your parents, it's not your siblings, it's not like, your nuclear family. And it was very difficult and not getting set up. And on top of that, my hospital became the COVID unit for the geriatric population from Yerushalayim to Beersheba. So basically, we opened up a 120-bed unit in our bomb shelter underground. And basically, the less critical geriatric patients were coming to us so that they wouldn't inundate the hospitals here. Mm-hmm. So like I would have 12-hour work days, working round the clock, like 120 beds filled. I'm the head of social work. There's nobody else. And like, I'm also the only single person. So like people have to leave to go take care of their kids. I had nothing to go to. So it's like, oh, Rachel will take care of it. Like it was a lot of just working around the clock, very stressful, a lot of aloneness. Like, yes, okay, you're talking to your family, but there's not much. Like I was lucky. Okay, I didn't have to stay at home all day because I was going to work, but like then I would literally be working 12 hours, phone ringing nonstop, going through things that no person should need to go through or deal with or have to say to family members. And like that kind of took over everything, that I wasn't in a headspace to even think about, oh, wait, I'm about to turn 30. I should also be dating. It like didn't cross my mind. And I remember I sat with someone who's also a social worker here. She'd also made Aliyah long time ago. And I remember she just said to me about dating because she really wanted me to just get the dating going. And she just said to me, just remember when you date, remember that your time is valuable. And that I wasn't required to go on 2 dates with a guy if I didn't want to. If I wanted to go on 1 date and be done, that was fine. Like I had to remember my time was as valuable as he was thinking his was.
Wait, I'm sorry. Can you repeat that again? It doesn't say that in the rule book that you have to go out again?
Right? You're allowed to do a 1 and done. It's not a big deal.
Oh, I thought it was one of the 10 commandments.
Right?
Okay.
And I like really like it was a hard pill for me to swallow and to actually do because it was ingrained in me. You always have to go on a second date. And because you have to give the person a chance, something's wrong in the first date. And I was like, okay, fine. And finally, I remember I went on that first date with one guy and I was just like, I don't want to go out with him again. And I remember saying no. And it was like such a relief. It's like, okay, you have all this craziness already going on around us with the pandemic. And like, I was functioning because yes, I was working my job and I was, doing all of that. But like, I was not in a place that like I was going to waste a moment of free time with someone I didn't want to spend time with.
And it's essentially saying, I trust my judgment and I feel like I got to know this person to a point where another date's not going to change things.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's like I'm at a point that I also don't have to say yes to everything, even if I'm not being set up a lot. Like I was finally given the ability to make the decisions for myself and not just feel like, okay, because I haven't been on a date in so long, I need to say yes. And I don't need to go out with them if I don't want to again. Plain and simple.
Right. It's almost like playing like the gracious, I don't know what the right word is, but feeling a pressure to have to be like graciously accommodating to a circumstance that you don't usually get. Like now I have to milk it for all it's worth. But if it wasn't meant to be for you, then all of those actions don't help you. They actually drain you.
Yep. Especially with just everything that was going on. I was like, I'm going to actually listen to this advice. And it was probably the best thing I could have done. And so I'm stuck here basically in Israel. Like, and I hate saying like, oh, I was stuck in Israel, but like it got to a point that I really like, my parents had tickets to try to come and they couldn't get in. And all of a sudden I was like hearing of all these other people who made Aliyah and their family members were able to get in because like they're having a baby or they have a family simcha. And I'm like, oh, so me, the single person who has nothing going on, doesn't get to see their family.
So lonely.
It was. And like I had roommates and I love my roommates to pieces and we're still good friends, but like we would all come home and because it was a pandemic, we're all going home to our rooms because they all knew I worked in a COVID unit. So everybody's afraid, even though like I wasn't in the COVID unit all the time, but like I'm in that setting. So it kind of like, I don't want to say gave me a stigma, but like it was there that, oh, Rachel was exposed. And like, I was like, but guys, I'm getting tested like twice a week. Like, please, like take a breather.
People were wiping down soda cans that were left outside. You were in the hospital. Everyone was staying far away from you.
Exactly. So it was definitely
very lonely.
Yeah.
And Izzy, what's happening for you during this time? Had you dated? Had you done your work? What were you navigating?
I mean, by that, like basically by the time she made Aliyah, dating again. Nothing ever really lasted more than like a few dates. I went through periods of just not focusing on it just because I, didn't have the mental energy for it and just, whatever. But I was in Israel as COVID was starting and
visiting or living there?
Visiting. I was visiting. I'd realized like I was really, really wanting to get back here. And I hadn't been here in 9 years at the time. And I just suddenly had the realization, I'm an adult. I have a full-time job. I have vacation time. I can buy a plane ticket. So, I came here and one of the big sticking points that had been when we dated was, that I was wishy-washy about making Aliyah because when I originally went on Birthright, I had that fire lit under me. I really wanted to go. Time went by, I came a few more times, but as time went by and especially that 9-year span where I didn't visit just because I, didn't.
Life.
Fire kind of cooled down.
Mm-hmm.
But I came here as COVID was beginning, literally end of February 2020.
And where were you living and what were you doing before that?
I was living in Queens still.
Okay.
I was working in Brooklyn. And it's funny actually, the person who the flight that brought COVID to Israel was my flight. Didn't get exposed though.
They could track that.
Oh, they were tracking everything here. Like you would like everyone's fear was like, don't bring your phone into the supermarket because if someone had corona in like Osherad and you were in Osherad at the same time, you would get a notification you were exposed, even if you weren't near this person, and then you'd have to go into quarantine for 2 weeks.
So I guess that the more accurate,
it was insane.
The more accurate thing to say would be, I guess, the plane that they claim brought it to, because you couldn't really track who brought it.
It's pretty monumental.
Yeah, okay. I felt famous.
Well, you definitely might be a little bit more after this episode.
But that relit the fire. So, it just kind of got that fire lit under me again. I went back to America, did some more dating. I ended up getting laid off from my job because of COVID. Like the department that I worked in at my company had to drop, I think, 2/5 of their staff on the same day. Because like,
Whoa.
it was a nonprofit, and funding just at that time, at the beginning of COVID, people stopped, like, the donors stopped donating to nonprofits and things like that. So money dried up. They had to let a whole bunch of us go. And so I'd just been to Israel. I rediscovered my drive to want to come here. Then the last thing financially keeping me tied to America disappeared. So, I didn't do anything yet, but during COVID, dating actually stopped entirely because I basically started living half the time at my parents' in Connecticut. Because I'm going to be honest, the suburbs in Connecticut was a little less restrictive than New York City.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Yeah.
You could go outside. We had nature. I could go on bike rides, and that just felt a lot more restrictive than just like you have to stay in your like 18-foot by 36-foot attached
a lot of
house.
people moved back home also because it was less lonely.
Yeah.
Life changed.
Yeah, so I didn't have that.
Ironically, I moved there because it was less crowded.
Yeah.
I was living at the time in like a single guy's apartment that they crammed as many guys as they can into one small house.
Yeah.
So actually I went back to Connecticut for less company.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't dating at all while I was there. I was just trying to get through it.
So then finally, like after a year and a half of the craziness, I was able to go back to America. My cousin got married. So it was like, okay, I was home for Pesach. Great. And then I was coming back in August for her wedding. And obviously everyone was still like, oh, are you going to make it? You're not going to make it. And I was like, I have a plane ticket. There was also like a little thing with Gaza at the time. So like no one really knew. And I was like, I have a plane ticket. If I can come, I'm coming. I have a dress. Great. Mm-hmm. So I come to America for the wedding. Go to the wedding. Great. And now you can.
I'm just minding my own business.
Yeah.
And because at that point I was in Queens again. Mm-hmm. I was back in my apartment, and one day I just out of nowhere, my phone gets a text message from an Israeli number that I don't know. And it's just a bunch of gobbledygook, like just like strings of text and numbers, like nothing coherent. And me, because I'm a smart person, I reply and I say, sorry, who is this? And I get a response back saying, wait, Izzy?
Like
You're not going to believe this, but this is Rachel.
So my old phone was possessed, as we like to call it.
Stop it.
Like
Tell me more.
Izzy can tell you stories of like, we'd be on like later on, we'd be on like video chat dates.
We'd be
and my
like,
phone was not in my hand, and he'd see it on the background, like on the chair, and he'd see it, and then he'd be like, Rachel, you're calling me. And I was like, but I'm not even.
There was literally one time we were watching a movie on Zoom, like later on when we were dating.
Freaked out.
I don't remember what movie it was, but I was zoning out because I don't think I was a big fan of the movie. But
it's a different point.
All of a sudden, her phone starts calling me, and I just hold my phone up to the screen like, Rachel, why are you calling me? And her phone wasn't even in her hands.
So,
very spooky. Okay, so
like all
Destiny
of a sudden,
obviously was trying to tie the two of you together.
Yeah. So fine. Okay. We just like, we're talking, whatever. I'm in America at the same time. We ran into each other like on the street, and I need to make a point of, we lived on the street, the same block, 10 houses apart for a very long time. Like the job I had before I moved to Israel, I was commuting to the city. So I was taking public transportation. I was literally walking past his house twice a day. Not once did I see him. Shabbos, Yom Tov, nothing. I would never see him. I don't know if he saw me, but like literally did not see one another.
Let's ask him, did you see her peeking out your window?
That's a loaded question.
Okay,
his window was in the back of the house.
Okay. So you're at this. Okay, so you get this possessed text message. You chat it. You start connecting.
So we're just talking.
Yeah,
we're just
talking a little bit.
And I go back to Israel. Like I'm only there for 2 weeks. I'm back to Israel. I came back to Israel. I had to go into quarantine thanks to COVID, whatever.
And we kept talking.
And we just kept talking. And eventually it hit me. I was like, I'm talking to him more than my best friend. And like my best friend lives here. We talk all the time. Like I was like, oh shoot, I'm talking to him more than I'm talking to anybody else. And then eventually is around my birthday. He basically
It was a birthday present, okay?
Yeah, okay. It's like right before it's like the day before my birthday. And he just asks me flat out on WhatsApp, he's like, would you be willing to go out again?
Kudos.
Yeah.
Kudos.
I give Izzy a lot of credit because like that's not an Izzy thing to do, to just say, do you want to do this? Like just ask.
Were you waiting for him to ask
No,
you?
because honest to God, and this is something I say a lot, I never thought someone like Izzy would be interested in me. So it like I said to myself, it's not possible he'd want to go out with me again. Like,
in what way?
I just didn't think that he felt the same way connected that I had felt to him. And I didn't, I never had a lot of, I don't have the strongest confidence in my looks and way I look in general. So like, I was like, how could someone that looks like him want to be interested in me? Like there was a lot of self-doubt there. So when I got sent that message, I was like, what is this?
Oh.
Was not expecting it. I was not prepared for it.
How unprepared would you say you were for that? Would you say you were 6 weeks unprepared?
So then I made him wait 6 weeks.
What do you mean?
I told her to take her time.
Yeah,
It was still COVID.
Yeah. So like Israel's borders were closed.
Yeah.
So like
I couldn't even fly to Israel if I wanted at the time.
Yeah.
So like I wasn't going anywhere.
Like my answer wasn't like preventing him from anything.
But how can we share? Well,
I needed time to think. Number one,
okay.
Like Izzy went through a trauma. I didn't know the details of what had happened. When I found out, oh, he had a broken engagement, that was the beginning and end of what I knew.
Okay.
So like I said, okay, if I'm gonna, be willing to even start this relationship, I need to know what he went through. I need to know what he's done to work on himself and to know has he changed. Like you said earlier, like when you go through something like that, like you have work to do. And like, if you, take a chance on somebody again, it's like, are you the same person or are you not?
Okay.
And I was fully comfortable just telling her whatever she wanted to know at that point.
6 weeks later, I basically said, okay, I am willing to give this a try. However, 2 things. Number one, I'm not leaving Israel. This is my home. This is where I am. So if you want this to work, you have to come here. I was like, I'm getting married here. Like, that's it. And number 2, I need to know what happened. And literally like, he's like, oh, sure, no problem. And just tells me everything. And that alone was enough for me to see, okay, this is not the same Izzy I dated in 2017. This is a very different person. And that was really helpful. And then Israel like opened the borders for about 5 seconds. And he couldn't get a ticket in time. And then Israel finally said, okay, end of January, we're opening up the borders again. And so
one of the things was that, she needed to be confident that I was going to, commit to coming here.
And were you confident at that time?
Well, by that point, it had already been, year and a half, 2 years, however long it was from the previous time that I'd come here.
Yeah, it's like 2 years.
Yeah, so the fire was kind of cooling down, and I'm sorry, but I was feeling a little bit of the wishy-washiness again because
never told me that.
I'd gotten comfortable in the new routine.
Yeah.
The country opened up for like a few weeks that November. I missed my chance to buy a ticket. And
which also like I can say like we got into a little bit of an argument about it. Like you had an opportunity, you didn't take it. If you're being really serious that you want to date me, why didn't you just come? And like it was difficult for Izzy to give me a question, but it was, okay, you're putting me on the spot, but I didn't take the opportunity. I'm sorry. Can we move past this? And the next time that there is an opportunity, I'm telling you now, I'm getting on a plane. And that's what happened.
The next time they announced the borders were opening, I bought a ticket that day.
Yeah. Like he bought a ticket and he came for 3 weeks. So like we were doing like dating long distance up until then. And then he came.
It took us 1 week.
Like within a week, basically like by Shabbos, we knew. Like he landed Sunday.
Yeah.
We had like a week of dating a Shabbos together. And by the woman who gave me the dating advice, actually, it was at her house. And that Motzei Shabbos, like we knew. We're like, okay, this is it. Like we want to get married. He's like, okay, I'll come. I'm moving to Israel. Fantastic. Great. And so we get like another 2 weeks of just like actually getting to enjoy being with one another. And then he left. And I was like, okay, hopefully I'm making it home for Pesach. And I did. Met each other's families, went ring shopping because, that happens. And so, so we're like, okay, we have a trajectory. And the plan was Izzy was coming back to Israel for the summer.
Like Shavuos to Tisha B'Av, basically.
Yeah. So like, we're like, okay, great. And so I knew within that window I was going to be getting engaged, and then we have to plan everything. It's like, how many days before you called me? Was it right before your flight?
Called you about what?
Basically, like within a few days of him coming to Israel before Shavuos, he calls me. I'm at work. It's like 12 o'clock in the afternoon here. So I know it's 5 o'clock in the morning in Israel, in America, I mean. I'm like, what?
Oh.
Yeah. And I say, what's going on? Is everything okay? And he tells me that he just spoke to his mom the night before, and his mom was diagnosed with cancer, with breast cancer. And so I was in my mind, I'm like, okay, so you're not coming. You're going to stay with your mom and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, my mom said specifically, we need to continue on as we had planned. Like, don't let anything stop this. Like, just continue forward.
They caught it early and it was treatable, but she needed treatment. So she was just like, don't let this change anything.
So, yeah. So Izzy came. We had Yom Tov together, and then we got engaged like right after at the butterfly exhibit at the aquarium here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Butterflies are her favorite animal.
Yeah. No, that's red panda.
Her favorite bug.
And so we had like the whole summer together, which was just, it was good for us because it was also the longest chunk of time we actually had together as a couple. And because of what was going on with his mom, we had to get married in the States, which I was originally like, oh my gosh, I'm losing my dream of getting married in Israel. And I was like, hold your horses, Rachel. Like, you're marrying the man of your dreams. That's what's most important right now. And he's making Aliyah right after the wedding. Like, there's nothing, like, just do it.
Yeah.
So we did. And I will say planning a wedding from here to get married in New York was not as easy as you would think. It's just like the time difference made a big difference.
Easy about planning a wedding.
No, it's not. One of Izzy's best friends gave us really good advice. You can say it because it's your friend.
What, Amner's? Yeah. The blessing he gave us?
Yeah.
One of my closest friends, hi Amner, he said, you will never fight as hard as you do when you're engaged. Being engaged is the worst part of your relationship. Yep. So if you can get through that, you'll get through the rest of it.
Yeah. So like on top of it, doing it long distance, it was not simple. But then I went to America. Like I landed on your birthday.
Yeah.
So it was like 2.5 weeks before the wedding, 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
The 2.5. 2.5.
So like I like flew in 2.5 weeks before the wedding. We had time together before the week before the wedding. So it was just like a lot.
Yeah.
And then we got married the 4th night of Hanukkah. So tonight's our anniversary.
Tonight's our anniversary.
Guys, the last person I interviewed also said they met on Hanukkah.
Also,
and we're interviewing all of you during Hanukkah. Yeah. What is happening?
So it's a good time.
Hashem.
You gotten any weird text messages lately?
When you say hi to me.
Okay,
that's so beautiful. What anniversary is this going to be?
3.
3. Wow. And how old were the two of you when you got married?
32.
30. Yeah, that.
We're the same.
Beautiful. So there's like so many beautiful things that I'm hearing in your story. The first one is, so often people are told you need to move in order to meet someone, as if God can't bring the same bracha to one country or city than another, which, I guess statistically speaking, if Eretz Yisrael is the Holy Land, you would think that being here wouldn't hold you back from bringing more bracha into your life. And it's clear in your story that you didn't have to compromise a life you wanted to build for yourself in order to meet the person that's going to help build that life with you.
We almost got delayed. So we had Shabbat Brachot, and we were leaving the day after Shabbat Brachot.
Oh my God.
And so we had like a late afternoon flight.
Delayed though is very different.
Because that was also going to be my Aliyah flight.
Yeah, so like he was also making it's not like, oh, you only get married. It's, oh, I'm also picking up my entire life and moving to a different country now to be with you. Mm-hmm. So it's not only, oh, you have this newlywed thing you're dealing with. You also have this, oh, I need to deal with all this bureaucracy at the same time while you've already established yourself.
Which, to be fair, honestly, the moving halfway across the world thing was less of a big deal to me than the getting married thing. Yeah. So,
but like,
I feel like that makes sense.
People keep asking me, so what was it like moving 6,000 miles away from your family? I was like, not as hard as, not as life-changing as getting married a week before. I had a bigger change right before that.
Yeah.
So the day of our flight, I had gone out to do an errand and I come back and I had mostly packed everything.
So had I.
Yeah. And I go into the bedroom.
I think I should tell this one
Okay.
because it's my shame.
Okay.
So we're making very good time. Almost everything is packed. I was even going to have time to exercise, which, I try to keep myself healthy. I try to exercise every day, but if I'm flying, that's just the first thing that I'll sacrifice just to make sure we have time. I was going to have time to do it and shower and be comfortable. My passport's missing.
Oh,
and
no.
I unpacked everything, every suitcase, every bag, or carry-ons. Yeah. Everything.
We call Nefesh B'Nefesh.
It wasn't there.
And they're like, the only thing we can tell you to do is pray.
Oh, wow.
They have a hotline for like day of flight emergencies.
Yeah. And that was the response he got.
But that was because since I could have gotten a flight through them, I could have gotten whatever, but we wouldn't have been able to fly together because you're not in control of what flight you get if you go through them.
That wouldn't have mattered.
The reason it mattered was because since I had to book my own flight, so it's they let you book your own flight and they give you like a refund for it, or at least a partial one. So that's what I did so that we could fly together. And because I did that, they had no control over any of the, anything with the flight. So because of that, they couldn't help me with the passport issue.
Yeah. So we're like scrambling. I'm like, I'm not leaving America without my new husband. Like, I didn't just go through this entire journey of my life and he can't get on the plane because he doesn't have a passport. So we had been using my grandfather's car, so I had returned it to my aunt.
In Long Island?
No, she was in her office that day.
Oh, okay.
And her office is also in Queens. So I was like, okay, I'm going to drive over to the office. Maybe it's in the other car. We're looking. My dad tells him to say Rabbi Meir Balanese.
I already had.
And I'm just like, I remember being in my aunt's office and looking at her and I was like, this is not happening to me. Like, I don't believe this is happening. And she's, Rachel, it will figure it out. Don't worry. And I go back to the car. And this is my father's car now at this point. And I was like, let me just check under the seats again. And under the passenger seat is just Izzy's passport sitting there.
Which is weird because we hadn't been in that car since before the wedding. And I saw my passport at the wedding. My parents saw my passport at the wedding. So no one knows how it got there.
We don't know how or why it was there. Hashem just made it happen. But that was the longest. He
humbles us.
It was the longest hour and 15 minutes of our life. And then... yeah.
I aged that afternoon.
But then, and then we came back to Israel and I think there were definitely you're adjusting to being a newlywed, but also I'd already been living here for 3 years. I had my day to day, I have a full-time job that I go to every day. I work in Hebrew full time. So it's and Izzy's Hebrew is not on the same level as mine. So there's a lot.
I work remotely for Americans. I have the same job now that I did at the time we got married. So I'm at home with nobody. Well, now I'm with the baby.
Now with the baby.
But I wasn't getting exposure except when I went to the store. So
there's a lot of just as newlyweds fitting that in and me realizing a lot of responsibility is taken on me. And I can say, and I don't think I ever told you this, but there's been a lot of times there were times that I was just how am I going to handle being this responsible person of having to do everything because I'm the Hebrew speaker in the family. And I ended up having to go to the hospital and I was dehydrated, keeled over, I could not speak. And I remember hobbling myself to the nurse's station in the emergency room, because I was supposed to be getting a room. I was like, do you have an update? And they kind of just brushed me off. They're like, we'll let you know. Didn't even ask my name.
She hadn't been able to hold down any food or water for 36 hours.
It was I was really sick. And Izzy just walked over, shouted to them in English, what's going on with my wife? All of a sudden, everybody's like, oh, what's your wife's name? Okay. Yeah, this is her room. She can go upstairs now. And I think it was in that moment, I was like, okay, it's all going to be fine. This was a few months into our marriage. And
sometimes you need someone who can just yell at people in a different language than the one they speak.
I also knew, I was I don't have to take care of everything. This is the right person for me who, when there is a time that I can't handle something, he's going to, exactly. He takes care of it. And I think the whole journey that we went on, it really shows that okay, this, I was so worried about needing to be his caretaker at a certain point, and it wasn't for me. And all of a sudden it's oh wait, he's able to take care of me. Like, this is exactly what you want from a partner, to like be there in that moment. And
To be a partner.
Yeah. And I think your story is really beautiful, where it highlights so much personal growth, and it shows that nothing gets in the way of God's plan, and that there's a time for everything. And that during that time, the best thing you could do is focus on yourself, create a life that you love, and in a very beautifully like masculine and feminine example, where the man should chase the woman, that if the man is interested in the woman, like, he should pursue her.
Those are some outdated stereotypes.
I think that I think it reflects a level of commitment and marriage mindedness that you hope will lead to the right choices. So, I mean, this has been really special. We pretty much like are hitting it on our 60-second dot. And I just want to thank you both for coming in today. And is there any last thought you want to share that we didn't cover before we finish in the last 60 seconds? Or
well,
no?
I think my mantra throughout this entire, whatever you want to call it,
story,
roller coaster, for me has just been like, if you know the right choice, just do it. Because once I knew that, like, she said, when I just straight up asked her, like, if she wanted to give it another shot, I knew that was the right thing for me to do, to ask that question. Why would I hold back? If you're not sure, okay, but once you're sure of something, just do it. Like, worst thing that happens is you did your part.
Yeah.
So if you're certain, just do it.
Yeah, don't waste time like fantasizing and theorizing. Take the time to see what will happen with the time you take.
If you know what you want, don't wait.
Yeah, I like that. Men and ladies too. If you know what you want,
and just
don't wait.
Honestly, trust your gut, but don't be afraid to ask the questions. Because So,
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming in today. This has been really
Thank you for
special.
having us.
Our pleasure.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
What a fun anniversary date. I hope you enjoyed another special episode of Stories of Hope. It was really, really interesting, filled with a lot of important lessons. And of course, as always, nothing can get in the way of God's plan. And if you need a break along the way, the best thing you could do is give it to yourself. And then take a moment to look back and say, am I proud of how I'm spending my time? Because that will be an investment in your wellness that will probably be one of the greatest investments that you can make. If you have any thoughts or feedback, I'd love to see them in the show notes below. If it's something more private and personal, you know what to do. You can email me at www.soh@meaningfulminute.org. Can't wait to hear from you. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next week.